In this video, we're going to teach you how to do finger spins. And finger spins are a grind trick where you catch the yo-yo like this in a horizontal position. And we're also going to talk about yo-yos that are particularly good for finger spin tricks so that when you start learning, you are equipped with the tools to learn this trick. And so when you first start learning finger spin tricks, the most obvious type of yo-yo to get is one that's like this with a big wide open area for your finger. And you'll notice that this yo-yo, which is the Transcend, has a flat surface for you to catch the yo-yo. And so what you'll notice is when you catch this yo-yo, because of that flat surface, the yo-yo doesn't actually stay still on your finger, but your finger orbits around the outer edge of that flat surface. Now, because we know that these yo-yos with a flat surface don't actually keep your finger centered, but they do work for finger spins, what that also means is that yo-yos like the Cannon that have a spike in the center, or yo-yos like the Civility that have a hub, they may actually be good for finger spins as well. And in the case of those two yo-yos, what you'll find is that they're actually great for finger spins. And so even though it might be counterintuitive, just because a yo-yo has something in the center of it, that doesn't exclude it from being a yo-yo that's great for learning these tricks. Now that kind of begs the question, what yo-yos don't work for finger spins? So the most obvious answer to that is yo-yos with a capped design like this. There's really nowhere for your finger to sit while you're doing a finger spin, so those won't work. But other yo-yos that have a wide open design like this, they may not work for finger spins as well. And so in the case of the Dash, if you were to imagine where your finger would go during a finger spin, there isn't actually enough room. So your finger kind of gets pinched during the finger spin and there's too many points of contact. And so even if you were to attempt a finger spin, you'll see that the yo-yo just bounces all around and it's completely out of control and it just doesn't work great. And so you want to avoid yo-yos like that. So now certain characteristics that make yo-yos great for grinds, like being metal or bead blasted, those also make them great for finger spins. There are a handful of plastic yo-yos on the market that are designed to be okay for finger spins. And so the Replay, what you'll find is that because of the shape of the cup, it does work, but you can see it doesn't do finger spins for a really long time. So it's okay for learning the basics, but not great for more advanced tricks. Now, if you want yo-yos that are absolutely the best for finger spins, what you want to get is a yo-yo that has design elements for finger spins. And so in this case, the Horizon, you can see it's got that bowl shape, which will help keep your finger centered. Or the Atlas has a dimple in the center, which also helps keep your finger centered. And the reason why these shapes are good is because finger spins last a lot longer the closer your finger stays to the center of a yo-yo. So if you have a finger centering design, those yo-yos are going to spin as long as possible. So let's get to the trick. When you're first learning finger spins, there's a couple of things that you may do that are actually going to make it more difficult to learn tricks. So some of these first tips are going to be more counterintuitive. The first thing that we would recommend when learning a finger spin is instead of throwing the yo-yo across your body like you typically do for horizontal style play, we recommend that you start by throwing it in the opposite direction in more of a front style throw, again, for horizontal play. The reason for this is it sets you up for the Laceration style bind, which is the bind most players like to learn when they're doing finger spins. Now, another common mistake that players make when they're learning their finger spin tricks at first is instead of catching the yo-yo on their opposite hand, they want to catch it on their yo-yo hand. And this kind of makes sense because that is your dominant hand. And it would seem like because you are more coordinated with that hand, you'll learn the trick easier. In fact, when I've taught people, most of the time, they learn the trick faster on their opposite hand, and I think it's just because the way the motion of the yo-yo goes, it kind of balances out that little bit of awkwardness that you'll feel when using your opposite hand. There's a couple more reasons that you would want to learn with your opposite hand anyway. The first one is there's no really good way to bind when you're doing a finger spin on your yo-yo hand. And so you're going to have to find other ways to get out of the trick, and so it just won't look as good. The other thing is most of the best tricks that are done with finger spins involve having the yo-yo on your opposite hand. And so for so many different reasons, it just makes more sense to just go for it and learn it on your opposite hand. Now, a third problem that a lot of players run into when they're first learning this trick, or a third misunderstanding, is they assume that the yo-yo has to be perfectly horizontal when they first catch the yo-yo. And so, of course, you can always catch the yo-yo like that, and it's totally fine to do that, but it's actually quite a bit easier to learn the trick if when you throw it, you allow the yo-yo to be at just a little bit of an angle, and you'll see that as the yo-yo spins, it'll start to level itself out. Now the reason that you want to do that is no matter what shape the yo-yo is or how good it is for finger spins, if you catch it at that little bit of an angle, what you'll find is that the yo-yo is going to be perfectly controlled. It's not going to have that thing where it moves side to side. That'll allow you to do finger spins longer, and it makes it easier to catch them at first. So it's not a bad idea, and it's even good if you allow the yo-yo to be at a slight angle when doing finger spin catches. Now, the last thing that I've seen a lot of players get wrong is when they're first learning these tricks, they're a little bit timid, and so they don't throw the yo-yo very hard, and that keeps them from learning the trick. Now, you got to remember that finger spins are a grind, and just like any grind, the yo-yo slows down really quickly, and so it takes a really, really powerful throw to learn these tricks, and you just got to have that confidence and just go for it if you want to attempt these tricks. So when you kind of put everything together and you want to work on your first finger spin trick, what you're going to do is you're going to throw the yo-yo across your body at a slight angle. And when you catch it, what you want to do is you kind of want to come down with the yo-yo a little bit. And the reason for that is the slower the yo-yo decelerates, the more control you're going to have on your catch. And so that coming down is really helpful when learning this trick. The second thing that you want to keep in mind is that when the yo-yo is at an angle, if you look on the inside of the cup, there's going to be one point that is the highest point of the cup. And if you think about it, no matter where you catch it, your finger is going to drift to that highest point. And so if you want to have as much control as possible on your catch, you want to get your finger to that highest point immediately when you catch it. So you want to catch it at the highest point and come down with it, and that'll give you as much control as possible on your catch. Now, one thing that a lot of players think is that to get long and accurate finger spins, you need a long fingernail. And this isn't actually the case. If you hold your finger like this when you catch the yo-yo, you can see that even if your fingernail is really short, that the highest point is where your fingernail is. And so again, that highest point is where you're going to be contacting the yo-yo. So it'll still work even if your fingernail is short. Same thing if you extend your finger like this, if you put it at an angle, your nail will always be at that highest point, which will allow you to do a finger spin on your nail even when it's short. Now, one other thing that will help, especially if you're using a bowl-shaped yo-yo, is to use what we like to call a soft finger. And that's especially easy if you catch the yo-yo like this. And what a soft finger means is when you're holding the yo-yo, you don't tense up the muscles on your finger. And if you don't do that, then what you'll find is that your finger will actually start to vibrate instead of the yo-yo. And when that happens, you'll see that the yo-yo will stop moving side to side and your finger will vibrate instead. And if you can achieve that, you can get the longest possible spin times out of bowl-shaped yo-yos, and it will give you more control overall. Even if you're not using a bowl-shaped yo-yo, it's always a good idea to have kind of a soft finger. And the reason for that is when your finger is stiff, it's going to cause more wobble in the yo-yo. So with a soft finger, the yo-yo will just move a little bit, if at all. But then as soon as you make your finger really stiff, you'll see this start to happen. So if you're noticing that's happening when you catch your yo-yo and finger spins, that's probably what the problem is, that you're just holding your finger a little bit too stiff. Ironically, getting a soft finger is one of the most difficult things about learning finger spins to get down. And so even if you understand it in your mind, it's still going to take a lot of practice to get it down just right. Now, one of the other things that you may have seen me notice me doing when I'm doing finger spins is I keep my yo-yo hand raised up. The reason that I do this is because I want to keep the string over here from touching the bottom side of the yo-yo. And if you allow the string to touch the bottom half of the yo-yo, what you're going to see is the yo-yo starts to pull the string around your finger, and then this will happen. The yo-yo will fall off, it'll pull tight around your finger, and it can actually hurt pretty bad. And so it's a good idea just to get used to the idea of keeping your arm extended, raised up a little bit to make sure that that string isn't going to touch the bottom half of the yo-yo. So after learning all of that, you're ready to bind. So if you have been throwing the yo-yo the way we've described in this video, what that also means is that you can now do the laceration style bind that I've been doing in the video. And the reason why this works is because when the yo-yo is spinning that way, the laceration style bind is a backspin bind, which works the best, as you've learned from our bind theory video. So if you're not quite sure what I'm talking about, you definitely want to check that video out. So when you are executing this bind, there's a couple of techniques that'll definitely help. The first thing is that you're going to get a lot more control on the string if you pinch the string over here. So you can even pinch it with your thumb or with your first finger. And that just seems to get more action out of the string as you move it around the yo-yo. The second thing is a lot of times, especially with new players that are just figuring out their bind, They don't get quite enough action out of the string, and so they end up throwing it below the yo-yo, and you can see that that can cause a lot of problems. And so it's just a lot easier, especially in the beginning when you're getting used to how the string moves, to just aim a little bit above the yo-yo, and a lot of times you'll find that the string goes right into the gap, which of course is a lot better. Now the third thing is, a lot of people when they do this bind, they just want to use their wrist to try to get the string moving, and that doesn't quite work. What you do want to do is you want to move your whole hand and actually get it pretty close to the yo-yo, and you move it in kind of a C shape. And so you're going to pass right by the yo-yo, and as you do that, you're going to turn around, bring your hand kind of close to your face, and then pull away from the yo-yo. And the way that works out is when the tail swings all the way around the yo-yo and it's got the most contact with the bearing, that's when you end up pulling with your hand, and that activates the bind. Now you may also notice that I have caught the yo-yo with my thumb upside down. If you do that, then the yo-yo is going to be sitting in your hand the right way, which is just the cleanest way to do it. If you catch the yo-yo with your hand like this, it's going to be upside down, so you have to flip it over. So it's just a good idea to remember to do that. Now, when the yo-yo is spinning the opposite way, that is when you throw it across your body, this laceration style bind isn't going to work because it's no longer a backspin bind. And so there's a whole different technique that you can use to get good binds with this particular throw. So to achieve this, what you do is, the first thing you want to do is you want to throw the string over your shoulder, and it's a little bit easier to get that to happen if you move the yo-yo in towards your neck as you're swinging the string. And if you do that, it just seems to help the string carry over. It'll allow both strings to land on your shoulder, which is what you want. If one of the strings is hanging down off your shoulder, it doesn't always work. And you also want to make sure not to raise your hand up as you do that, because then the string may end up touching the bottom half of the yo-yo and it'll wrap around, and you don't want that. So once you have the string over your shoulder, then all you do is you feed the string in on the inside of the yo-yo, and you just pull your hand to the outside. And as you pull that string again, it's going to be touching the bearing, so it'll start to pull it around the right way, which is going to activate the bind. Now, all the different parts of finger spins, from the throw to the catch, and especially that soft finger and even the bind, everything is pretty difficult on its own. And for a finger spin, you have to put them all together in really just one moment in order to be able to hit this trick. And so you really need to be patient with yourself and just keep working on every single aspect of the trick to be able to lay down that skill, to be able to hit it the way that you want to every time. But as you can see, finger spins are pretty exciting tricks, and it doesn't matter if you're showing it to a yo-yoer or a non-yo-yoer. It seems like everybody really enjoys what can be done with a yo-yo and is really surprised at how neat these tricks are. And so it's definitely worth the time to put in the effort. And so we hope this video helped you out. Those are finger spins.